Now the next speaker is Mr. Ashwani Mahajan. He will also be speaking on the sort of general remarks on the budget and on the macroeconomic aspect and anything else, just keeping in mind the time constraint that all of us have. Professor Mahajan.
Thank you, respected Muchkund Dubey ji. It's really an honor to be on the panel headed by you, Professor Biswajit Dhar, Professor Praveen, Professor Nitya ji, Professor Rama Baru, Professor Govinda, Professor T. Haque, and the convener of today's panel discussion, Dr. Haque. It's really an honor to be here with you. Frankly speaking, I will not be so critical. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay.
You are audible.
Yeah. So, frankly speaking, I will not be so critical about the budget as Professor Praveen, but definitely there are points I would like to make about the budget. First and foremost, I would appreciate this budget on one count, that this budget is providing more of capital expenditure than the previous budgets. We have seen in the past the capital expenditure had been coming down and down, and but what is appreciable about the government's expenditure, in the last budget they budgeted for 4.1 lakh crores for capital expenditure, which actually went up to 4.39 in the revised estimates, and the fiscal 21-22, this figure is going to be 5.454 lakh crores. So this is something I would appreciate about the budget. Second thing which is appreciable about the budget is an increased spending on the health, 137% increase, and as a student of economics, Professor Praveen Jhaji and Professor Biswajit Dharji would agree with me that over the years, our overall social expenditure, the expenditure on the social sectors, has remained almost stagnant. And individually, also we see whether education or health or others, or say minority affairs or SC/ST or others. So we overall the figure used to be, as I write in my book, about 10% they budget for in the total budget, and actually it comes to 9.3, 9.2, 9.5% over the years I have found. But I was happy to see a 137% hike in the health budget. No doubt, this year's budget has been made under special situations, and therefore, obviously, even nobody has, including this panel, has criticized this budget on the count of huge fiscal deficit of in the revised estimates to 9.5% of the GDP, and the budget estimates of 6.8% of the GDP. Nobody is raising questions on that. And there are some of these good things about the budget. I just because before criticizing anything, we must appreciate the good points. And as you are all aware that we have a different point of view on the disinvestment and on FDI. When it comes to FDI, especially in the finance sector, whether it is banks or it is insurance sector, we had been opposing it when during NDA 1, the government was deciding to introduce FDI in insurance to 26%. At that point of time, we opposed it tooth and nail, and then at that point, the government said that we are introducing 26% under the parliamentary resolution, that it will not be raised. At that point of time also we said that once we are introducing it, ultimately it will be raised, and that happened. It was raised to 49% in the previous regime, and now it is increased to 74%. This is unfortunate because whether it is banks or financial institutions like insurance, this is in a way would be leading to the greater dominance of the foreign players on our domestic savings and our domestic finance, which is in no way going to help the country. Second thing is about the disinvestment. Disinvestment we had been opposed to, not for the reason that we are opposed to disinvestment. We are opposed to the manner in which the disinvestment is being carried out. We are of the view that it doesn't make any difference if me and or Biswajit Dhar or Praveen owns the shares of the public sector companies or the government owns it. But I would definitely object to if the company is sold in wholesale to Reliance or Tata, to anybody. If it leads to more of concentration of economic power, if it leads to more of monopoly, then it is definitely objectionable. So we opposed the disinvestment of Air India, but at the same time we suggested that it's the time to revive Air India, and after the revival you can bring out IPOs and sell the shares on the same lines as was done by British Airways in 1987. About other disinvestments, again, our press release also had said that we are opposed to BPCL disinvestment, we are opposed to the Bharat Earth Movers Limited disinvestment, and several others, including the banks and insurance company. Now the question is that what should be done on this investment front? So this is neither in the interest of the country nor in the interest of this government as well to go in for the strategic disinvestment, as they are saying. In the first 6 years, first 5-6 years, this government chose not to make use of strategic disinvestment, and they actually went for equity disinvestment. Nobody objected to that. But strategic disinvestment is something which is very much objectionable, and for that we had raised our voice, and we will be raising our voice further. Now when it comes to monetization of the infrastructure assets, roads, airports, railways, again, we will have to ensure that through this monetization process, are we going to increase the monopolies? Are we going to raise the user charges in airports, as we have done in case of Delhi and Mumbai airport? especially Delhi Airport. Delhi Airport has become the costliest airport in the world. So that is something which we must avoid. Regarding monetization, I think the best policy would be to pool all these assets in one basket and make it a company, distribute these shares. The whole country would like to buy. Me and you will like to buy the shares of that company, because infrastructure is the sector which is giving us a lot of revenue. So why lose that revenue? But at the same time, everybody would appreciate this point, that we need more and more money, more and more finance to fund the infrastructure sector, which the country doesn't have. Either you go for FDI, which we are again opposed to, or we go to the sovereign borrowing, again, which is in a way suicidal. So the way through which we can fund our infrastructure is, we have to find novel ways to fund our infrastructure. But monetization, by selling it off to the corporates, as we have done in case of airports, being sold to Adani or any other corporate house, I think this is not a very advisable policy. Last thing, I am so very happy about this budget, at least after so many years of destructing the long-term financial institutions. Like we had, after the independence, we had developed many long-term financial organizations, and they had helped the need for long-term finance, maybe IDBI, even IFCI, ICICI, but ultimately they were converted into the banks, and they went into the private hands. At least now the government has risen to the occasion that yes, we need long-term finance, and that development financial institution, the government has provided for the equity, seed equity of 20,000 crores, and hoping that it will become a corpus of 5 lakh crores in the matter of next 3 to 5 years. I think I had these comments to be made on the budget. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahajan. I think you have made some very important points clearly and precisely, and this will be reflected in the outcome of our discussion that we will bring out.